Ready to take your first big step abroad? Whether you want to select target markets, navigate bureaucratic questions, or gain cultural insights, Switzerland Global Enterprise offers the expertise you need. As the official Swiss organization for export and investment promotion, they are experts in understanding the needs of Swiss companies. With over 20 offices worldwide, the organization is very connected locally. Swiss startups benefit from exclusive advantages with Switzerland Global Enterprise, including discounted participation fees for trade fairs, events, and workshops. Discover new opportunities with Switzerland Global Enterprise and start your global expansion.
And I don't want to perpetuate stereotypes, but Germans are a little bit louder, a little bit more self-confident. They are more aggressive in parts of doing acquisition. And the Swiss don't have these kind of attributes in their DNA.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a rating. And now, here's your host, Silvan.
Britta, Tobias, a very welcome to the Swisspreneur Show. It's a pleasure to have you both as guests today.
Thank you very much, Silvan. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, Silvan. Thank you for having us.
Britta, you're the head of the Swiss Business Hub in Germany, where you help Swiss companies to do business in Germany, obviously, as the name already suggests. And Tobias, you are the founder and CEO of Iunctum, where you support companies to create digital twins and running cloud solutions. Before we dive into your organization's doing and the topic of expanding from Switzerland to Germany, we basically want to start with a little question about your personal background. Britta, you are the head of export and investment promotion at the Swiss Business Hub in Germany, and you've been working there for just a little over 2 decades. That's a very impressive career. So what about this job, or probably better said, career, has got you hooked to the topic?
Thank you, Silvan. So a little over 2 decades sounds like an eternity, in my opinion. But good question. I like that. I sell the most valuable product in the world with selling Switzerland in Germany. And the fact only by itself does very much to my personal mindset. We are contact and bridge building people here in the Swiss Business Hub for all kind of Swiss SMEs and startups. And I'm able to exchange ideas with a wide range of industries and technologies, getting in touch with many, many Swiss companies. And where else, give me an example, where else can I learn new things every day, expand my network in Switzerland and in Germany? Where can I open the doors to help Swiss companies grow? And this is my personal motivation for being here. I'm able to learn. I'm a big fan of collaboration and cooperation. So sitting here in the Swiss Business Hub Germany, based in Stuttgart, is like being in the control center in terms of bridge building.
I love that, especially also the learning part. That's really motivating and inspiring at the same time. Tobias, you, on the other hand, you spent 13 years working as an engineer in many different companies. You usually stayed about 1 to 3 years. And I just wonder, was the entrepreneurial itch making you a bit restless in that sense?
No, actually. So from my side, basically the touch of starting a company was just to create actually the future and the digital transformation in general, firstly in Switzerland. And then I saw basically that there is a big gap for having that also in place in Europe. So the traditional industries from my side, basically, they didn't go forward as I was thinking. And since 2020, the industrial structure in Europe is basically declining, and the cloud computing is basically going much faster forward and has reached last year over 110 billion euros. So basically, I guess it is the right touch to go into entrepreneurship and going forward for that industry, definitely.
In the end, what finally made you take the plunge with Youngtum and starting your own company? Was there any decisive moment where you said, okay, now it's time to not work on other projects or for other people, but really start your own company?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was doing a master back in the days in innovation management, and I saw basically that the industry is having a huge gap in digitalization. So I could never have done that if I would have been in a bigger company and doing those steps into, those big, huge companies where innovation is having a bigger leg. You're way faster and you can connect way, way quicker if you are an entrepreneur, and the impact is way bigger.
Definitely. So also tell us a bit more about your company. What kind of company is Youngtum and what do you basically offer? Just to set a bit the stage and the context here.
Well, Jungtum is based in Zurich or founded in Zurich in 2018. Back in the days, I was working as a freelancer before 2018 as a traditional engineer freelancing, and I founded a .NET web portal in Zurich, which was basically having a lack of independent industry software, and that was back in the days a big lack of portal solutions and having that or running that privately. So after it, I saw the connection between real estate and IT. Back in the days, there was a huge movement on the prop tech industry in Switzerland. So a lot of startups were founding. I founded it in 2018, and we basically started really from scratch. So I was still doing a cardboard 3D glass. So you could basically, it was back in the days, it was a Google Glass. You could put it in. And well, we started slowly starting together with the Microsoft development team to program software on Microsoft Azure. And later on, basically, we specialized on cloud infrastructure, hosting software, and running that for the real estate industry and also financial institutes. So that was the first step. We didn't really have a plan how this will work. And probably if you go further within the next minutes, we can come to the point. But the technology back in the days was really still on premise. So that means nobody was having cloud solutions. Nobody was using artificial intelligence or even anything regarding scaling software. So most of the software solutions were on premise running on a server somewhere. And well, back in the days, that was how it was. In 2020, everything changed with the pandemic, and the company basically started going into more deep solutions for the digital twins on cloud solutions. A lot of the companies were transforming, and basically that was one of the biggest steps we did.
You really were at the forefront in that sense. I love that. And Britta, if you look at the founding story, Youngtum was founded in 2018 in Switzerland. When did they first reach out to you about a potential expansion to Germany?
I have to admit, I had to go into the books to be precise in the year, but our first point of contact was in 2022 when we could help. I will go further. I will go into the details a little bit later, but I guess that was our first meeting when we could help Tobias in Germany.
And Tobias, from a founder perspective, what made you feel that you were ready for internationalization and to tackle the German market after establishing yourself in Switzerland?
Switzerland is a fantastic place for innovation. It's a fantastic place to found a company, and you have everything available just within a few minutes. I mean, the cities are not so far from each other. The startup community is huge. Zurich is a wonderful place for starting a startup. But besides Zurich, Basel, and Geneva, there is not so much regarding technology-driven companies. So basically, if you are based on one of those three cities, after to scale up, you should go out to a different market. So basically, some of the companies in my buildings, there are a few who just went to the US. So I went to Germany. And for me, Germany is one of the markets because of the touch to the European Union. You have definitely a huge possibility from there to go further into all organizations along or on the map from the European Union. So that was one of the steps. To grow, you need definitely bigger countries than Switzerland. Switzerland is too small to grow and to go further. Basically, it's also lack of data. If you start or if you're in the sector of cloud computing and you're dependent on data, the assets are given in Europe and the assets in Switzerland are given too. So basically, with the population of Europe, you have a market of more than 500 million people living in that market. And the low digital maturity is definitely a possibility to also make a game changer in that market. Also, the period following the largest pandemic was a game changer in digitalization. Basically, cloud computing was really adopted super fast. I have just looked up the numbers yesterday. I have from Microsoft, 50% was using cloud computer prior 2020. And today we are over 85% on a cloud technology. So this is a huge movement within just the last 4 years. Also, doing business in Germany was challenging, and it is definitely the right time to connect in Germany. There are a lot of new people, or the younger generation, and definitely is now taking over in Germany. So that is the right step to go for me.
So it's a lot of different things coming together at the same time. And I just wonder if your perspective and experience, Britta, why is internationalization specifically important for Jungten, but also for other companies that you help with? Is it just because the market in Switzerland is a bit too small, as Tobias just mentioned, for what they're offering?
I would agree on what Tobias said. So it's starting in the home market makes absolutely perfect sense. Just testing the water and get the feedback from your home country makes sense. But as Tobias said, when it comes to in terms of scale or when it comes to scaling up, it has to be said that only Germany in the EU is 10 times bigger than Switzerland. And Germany offers a complete different dimension of market development opportunities. So having said that, and as we know, I am here for more than 2 decades, I observe in general a shift over the last 15 years. So my customers, as in forms of the Swiss SMEs, they started their internationalization journey 15 years ago, like being planned in a school book. So starting with the home market, then explore and develop the neighbor countries, followed by the rest of European countries if they match with the request of the products. And only if Europe performs, they went overseas. So, and this changed completely from what I observe in Switzerland. So I see a much more born global mentality, especially in the startup scenes or in the young companies. They roll out in several countries at the same time. But having said that, it has to make sense, and you have to be very strategic in knowing what you want to achieve. And from my opinion, or from my German perspective, internationalization is necessary if you want to grow, in a healthy way.
Makes a lot of sense. And in that sense, Tobias, many Swiss startups, they also decide to grow, of course, outside of Switzerland, but then directly jump to the US market. Why did you choose to go to Germany first and not to the US as many others do?
Well, testing a product requires significant investments, definitely. I mean, you have to choose one of those markets. And I guess for testing a Swiss product, actually Europe is way closer. You have definitely closer cultural, intercultural, how do you say, cultural dependencies, it's way easier basically to go first to European country, I guess. So for a Swiss German based company, basically Germany is one of really close markets. We are based in Baden-Württemberg, which is just a few steps or a few hours ahead from Zurich. Well, I guess that's way easier. The cultural differences between the transatlantic giants, US and Europe, are way bigger. And I guess the first step and the closeness from Europe or made me make the decision to go first to try the product in the European Union with Germany.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So let's now focus and zoom in on Germany. And Britta, many Swiss founders make the mistakes of assuming that the German market will be more or less the same as the Swiss one. I know we all speak German, at least in the Swiss German part and Germany, but often they think, oh yeah, it's just a bit of a copy paste to expand to the DACH region as we already conquered the German speaking part of Switzerland. But this is not really the case, is it?
You are absolutely right, because this is one of my heartwarming themes. The markets are similar, but they are really not the same, and they don't function exactly the same. So the cultures are similar, but it's even slightly different compared to Switzerland. I know in Switzerland, because of the size of the market size, you know each other. You meet each other. I learned you at least meet 5 times in Switzerland, at least. And if you work together in a project, and if it worked well, you go on and you work in the next project again. This is exactly the same in Germany, but the proportions are just different. And I don't want to perpetuate stereotypes, but Germans are a little bit louder, a little bit more self-confident. They are more aggressive in parts of doing acquisition. And the Swiss don't have these kind of attributes in their DNA. And you just risk to not to be seen on that you're not heard. That's the reason why we are here in the Swiss Business Hub as well, not only in developing export strategies for Swiss SMEs, but we help to guide the Swiss through the rough German entrepreneurship. And we act like a kind of interpreter. I am allowed to say that because I am German and I am from the northern part of Germany, where it's all a little bit even worse, seen from the roughness. But at the same time, there are still some Swiss entrepreneurs who think exactly that the markets tick the same way, because we as you said, we speak the same language. And if it works well in Switzerland, it will work well in Germany. And then it just doesn't work, and they show up in our office. And then they realize it takes a clear strategy, it takes planning. And last but not least, and this is the most important risk I see, it has to have an allocated budget for developing and exploring the German market. It's not only because everything works well in Switzerland, you have to take the budget to explore the German market.
I know this is a very difficult follow-up question on this topic, but what is sort of the minimum budget we're talking about here? Like 100, 200K, or are you talking more like 500,000, 1 million, or even much less than that? What is sort of the minimum budget that you need to be able to properly evaluate the German market as a Swiss company?
So it's hard to put it in numbers, actually, because it depends on the product. If you want to enter the food or the FMCG market, you have to allocate a high amount just to be present in the German supermarket store. It depends on the strategy you want to follow, and it's not 100, 200K. We work with our experts who help the Swiss SMEs, and we have a pricing that works for most startups and SMEs. So it would be it would be dangerous to just name a number.
Got it. So people who need a number, they should just reach out to you basically to calculate that with your experts, ideally.
Yes, and we work that out. We work that out. But this is my point. Just be aware that it needs an allocated budget for Germany, even if the language is the same.
So now we learned a bit about the differences. Despite the same or similar language, there are also changes that you had to make, Tobias. So first of all, I wonder about the pricing part. We all know that usually the pricing level is higher in Switzerland. So how did you have to adapt and maybe even change your pricing for the German market?
Well, honestly, I just have to say Switzerland is easier and Germany is tougher, definitely. On the pricing perspective, but well, as Britta just mentioned, the market is 10 times bigger. It's not all about the pricing. The costs are lower in certain cases. Certain cases are higher. But however, the insights from the German industry solving specific challenges are more available than the pricing itself. I guess it's all about the learning process of the market itself in the first stage. I mean, if you start growing, you have definitely to go through the pricing, to think about targeting on certain products, where you want to be based, etc. But I guess in the first phase, if you're entering a market, it's not everything about the pricing. It's also about learning from the market.
And as you said, probably higher volumes can also make up for a bit lower prices in that sense. So I wonder about the marketing approach then. You probably also have to approach your potential clients in a different way due to the differences that Britta just outlined. How does your marketing approach differentiate from the German to the Swiss market?
Well, I guess the Swiss market is more on a network base than and the German side. The German sides, they're having bigger organizations for networking. So they're more organized via government organizations. We were connected as we are based in Stuttgart, Germany, with the land. Basically, that's industry or an organization which helps to enable organizations within the state of Baden-Württemberg. They help us to connect to the industry directly and to get connected through exhibitions, etc., into the German market. On the other hand, this is personal, let's say personal insight I give. For me, it's also interesting to invest to local organizations. For example, a sports team. We are sponsoring a local sports team in Baden-Württemberg, an American football team for the European League. And basically there you also meet a lot of business people. It is definitely a place to get connected besides the normal business hours.
That's a really cool insight. Thank you for sharing that. Now, the differences are not only culturally, Britta, but also there are different legal and regulatory considerations when Swiss companies expand into the German market. I know there are probably plenty that we could talk about, but what are the biggest differences there from Switzerland to Germany in terms of legally and regulatory changes that you need to be aware as a founder?
Good question. Very high bureaucratic question. There are many, many differences. And in fact, just touching all of them would go beyond the scope. I would say it requires careful navigation of legal and regulatory frameworks. For example, even the first steps like business registration, legal structure, taxation compliance, employer and labor law, which is completely different compared to Switzerland, the GDPR compliance, just to name a few. Germany is very well known for its bureaucracy, and I absolutely agree on that. We are over bureaucratic compared to any other country I know, and therefore I highly recommend engaging local tax and legal advisors or to get in contact with us. We go and we open the doors to our network with very, very experienced Swiss experienced advisors to help the Swiss startups getting through this jungle, which it is. It's really a jungle. I don't want to soft anything, or I don't want to soften anything. It's difficult.
it's a good reality check in that sense to know what you're getting yourself into. So let's also get down into the bit more the specifics. So you, with the Swiss Business Hub, you supported Jungtum in their internationalization to move to Germany. How did you exactly do that? What were the areas of collaboration where you worked together?
So I guess, Tobias, when I remember it right, and when I told you I had to look in the books because it was 2 years ago. So we support Tobias in the beginning with some export technical matters. We provided some fact sheets and with really hard facts about what to do, how is some bureaucracy and regulatory framework needs to be done. And in the second step, we could open some doors to players in Baden-Württemberg. And yes, now we have a very great connection, and we have Tobias on our tables when we have business breakfasts, etc. And we are happy then if he connects with our guests to explore Jungtum or to make Jungtum grow. I would say, Tobias today no longer needs us, and this is kind of the best customers we have.
Absolutely. You helped them succeed, and now they serve as a role model to inspire other entrepreneurs to follow their path, ideally. So from that perspective, Tobias, I'm just wondering, from the really operational perspective, from you as a founder, what was the main challenge of expanding from Switzerland into Germany for you?
Thank you for the question. I guess it was wonderful experience for developing intercultural competence. Germany is unique in its relationship between companies and the government, definitely. And I would also add here that it is not just a challenge, but also a learning process. You always learn from challenges. And I guess this is how you grow. And this is how you should basically start dealing with challenges in the future. And I guess it's also a wonderful possibility to take back those learnings and probably go out for a third market.
Amazing. I'm going to ask that at the end, what market is next for you? Before we do that, you also now sort of have a distributed team, right? I know it's close, but it's still in Germany and also in Switzerland. How does your founding team distribute your time between the headquarters and basically the additional market in Germany? How do you spend your time? Do you often travel, or how does that work?
Well, between Zurich and Stuttgart, I was just having once lunch next to the ambassador from Germany sitting in Bern. And basically, I was a little bit upset because the train connection between Zurich and Stuttgart was somehow broke, or somehow they had to fix it. Basically, my team travels, of course, to Berlin, Stuttgart, Frankfurt. Those are the four or the three cities we are traveling mostly, sometimes Munich. I would say from Zurich to Baden-Württemberg, it's a really close connections. From Zurich main station, it takes, 2.5 hours or 3 hours directly to the heart of Stuttgart, where our office is based a few minutes away. So basically 2 to 3 work days, I would say, per month is enough for traveling. And except that since 2024, we have been utilizing hybrid solutions more and more. And I would say this is also possible as we just do this podcast today, basically.
Exactly. And Britta, you now, if we reach sort of the conclusion, you see both ecosystems, the German one and the Swiss one, on a regular basis. You know them both pretty well. Would you say that Germany is a friendlier environment for startups than Switzerland?
As far as we touch the public funding provided by the Bund, we definitely have various federal programs, and this is one of the biggest difference compared to Switzerland. Not only friendlier because it takes a long journey to get to these funds. You have in Switzerland like more than one startup capital. It was for a long time in Germany. It was Berlin, where a lot of things happened, as Berlin was the most vibrant city. And now the startup scene is rolling out to the rest of the country. It's difficult to say that it's friendly here. We are failing because of this already touched over bureaucratization, which in some cases hinders innovation. And we see where the country is at the moment on the economy side. On the other hand, I see great stories like the EPI. This is the innovation park for AI, which just is in the momentum of growing in Heilbronn. Yeah, just in front of my house door here in Stuttgart. The ETH Zurich is expanding to Heilbronn as a second internationalization point in history of the ETH after Singapore. This is impressive and makes me optimistic, but I miss the hands-on perspective, and I see that you can maybe, because of the size of the country again, things take a little bit longer, but the spirit in both countries might be the same. So if you allow me to be very diplomatic, I don't want to answer the question in favor of Germany or for Switzerland. It's difficult.
A very neutral Swiss position in that sense. Let's switch the question then to Tobias. You expanded now to Germany. I'm not going to ask you the same question, don't worry, but I just wonder, with everything you've learned and seen now, would you do it again? Would you expand to Germany again from Switzerland?
Definitely. I mean, it's always if you fail, you learn. If you're successful, you learned. So basically, why shouldn't you try something new?
Fair enough. That's a clear statement. And you already teased us that there might be a third country in the making. So what country will be next for your international expansion?
I was just having a quick talk yesterday with one of my employees about it, and I was having also a big talk about it in Berlin. Actually, this was also happening in Germany, not Switzerland. So where are you growing in the future? And what is definitely interesting for us is in the Pacific region, basically Singapore, Vietnam, or Dubai could be one of those countries. I was having a quick look on Vietnam, but Singapore is definitely interesting to grow in the whole region and to get connected. And I guess it's also the economic powerhouse in the 21st century down there.
Absolutely. Really exciting times ahead of you with the next expansion. I already see that coming. So to wrap up the conversation today, I also want to ask both of you some rapid fire questions. I give you a short question and you have to answer in one sentence, ideally. Let's start with you, Britta. I asked you about the startup friendliness, but now I'm more interested as a place to live, Switzerland or Germany?
So very personal opinion. I am a girl from the ocean. I grew up close to the North Sea. This is what I would miss in Switzerland. So I go for Germany.
Yeah, that's difficult to find in Switzerland. We have beautiful lakes, but not the sea. Tobias, went for business, Switzerland or Germany?
For the business sport clubs, definitely Germany. And well, for the restaurants, I always choose Switzerland.
And Britta, what is your favorite thing about working for the Swiss Business Hub?
So I mentioned it already, the steep learning curve I might experience even after 24 years now, getting in touch with most inspiring Swiss companies. This is the most favorite thing. And being and working, having just, I have to add that, having a great headquarter in Zurich, working together with Switzerland Global Enterprise is very, very motivating in my everyday work.
I think that's wonderful to have that. Amazing. And Tobias, the last question for you. If you hadn't founded Iunctum in 2018, what would you be doing right now today?
Well, probably sitting in a big company. Yeah, well, one of the three cities here in Switzerland, Basel, Zurich, or probably not Geneva because my French is not that good, but wondering why nothing has changed, still dreaming of shaping the future. Probably also having a lot of discussions in big meeting rooms. questioning why I can't basically change anything or get any innovation into it.
Amazing. Britta, Tobias, thank you so much for your time and for the valuable insights today. I wish you all the best and lots of success for the future. And thank you again for your time to come on the podcast today.
Thank you very much, Silvan.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.